So after listening to a lot about Hyperliquid, which I love, now it's time that we move towards blockchain's role in agentic commerce. We're all hearing about OpenClaw, we're hearing about Cloud Code, Codex. Do I have any AI builders in the audience today? Any vibe coders? Wow, a ton. That's amazing. So today we have Lin with us, who's going to talk more about how blockchain's role in agentic commerce works. And I'm genuinely excited because he has some really, really cool things to share. So please give him a huge round of applause. And Ling, the floor is all yours.
Hi, everyone, testing. OK, awesome. And let's get started. Hey, folks, I'm Ling. I'm part of the community. I've been building on Ethereum since 2018, so it's very exciting for me to be here speaking on a stage for the first time. Without further ado, today I'm just going to talk about, hey, like we heard about agentic commerce, agentic payments. My key message here is I think blockchain has a lot more to do than just payments in this entire agentic commerce. So let me walk through that. Very briefly, let's just set the stage by having a purely product perspective. What does a shopping experience look like? And I'm going to talk a little bit about the technology involved to make that happen. And of course, we will discuss some challenges and opportunities ahead on what could be possible this year and going forward. So let's see if the internet god is kind. If not, this is a toy example that I'm going to voice through. OK, great. So, I've been walking around the booth, and I love some of the swag here at ETHDenver, and I saw a really, really cool Buffett corn, but it's sold out. Maybe it's online somewhere. I want a shiny one, so I'm just going to ask my agent. It could be, any LN. It could be a lobster, for all I care. What's it doing? It's searching through, trying to find the right merchants, and it's doing all of that fairly quickly. And it found me an order. OK, $100. That's all right for a shiny Buffett corn. I'll do it. But hey, I'm here. Do I get anything special for being an attendee of ETHDenver? I actually pasted in my Pope link just to prove that I've been here. The agent is working through some stuff, verifying discounts. He's like, OK, great, I'm eligible. And it's applying, great, nice, 20% off. It's $80 for my shiny Buffett corn, and I am going to buy this. OK. OK, great. Only if life is that easy, right? OK, so let's talk about what happened here. So this is the happy path, and this is a toy example. I believe that there are a lot of work for us to do here. So a few things that happened. We first need to find merchants. And we actually need to find the right merchant for us, right? And then I want to feel a little bit special, get personalized offer, offering whatever information I'm willing to share, and of course, pay the merchants. I think in all of these steps, blockchain has something to help here. And it looks like this. Yeah. This is how you know blockchain's involved. It's quite complicated. Actually, it's not that case. So we're not going to go through this bit by bit. Talk for today is just focus a little bit on the first phase. How do you find the right merchant? Notice the capitalized right. And OK, this is a zoomed-in version. We have a lobster at the start. And you notice that we have a lot of acronyms. So just to level set, I'm going to walk through what these acronyms could mean. And here, so ERC 8004, this ERC is called Trustless Agents, but the way I really view it is a permissionless yellow page for agents. If you want some work to be done, if you want to purchase certain items, this is a place where they have things like the permissionless registry for agents. Imagine a place that you can just stick your business card up there. And also, there's a reputation system, and it's also permissionless. In fact, people can set up their own reputation system. We will discuss a little bit. Do you care whether something returns very quickly? Do you want something that's always have a discount available? Do you care about the uptime? So those are different dimensions of reputation that people can play around with. Moving forward, X402, perhaps this is the one that crypto community is the most familiar with. This is the X402 extension of the HTTP, and it's payment required. You want to access a certain resource, but hey, you had to pay for this. So this is the internet native way, a standard to pay. And of course, being internet native, crypto is actually a first-class citizen on this protocol. So going into A2A, agent to agents, you can think of it as just a way, a shape of connector of connecting different types of logic. In this case, just the different types of logic happens to be generative AI logic. So it's not just about chatting with the robots here. It's all about defining tasks and delegating them. And A2A help us do really useful things like, okay, I give you a task. It has a long life cycle. And I actually don't care if you delegate the task further into subsequent things. So this is really one of the ways to delegate, coordinate, and communicate tasks among agents. Now, the newest acronym is UCP, Universal Commerce Protocol. We can buy something as a single thing, but if we think about the entire shopping journey, we need to find the merchants. We try to vet the merchants, and even if they have the right reputation, do they have the products? So product discovery is there. And sometimes you may want to pay for more than one thing. So UCP really structures that whole flow from finding the right shop, the right item, putting them in the shopping carts. How do you manage and communicate that shopping carts across different sessions? And also, how does it work with fulfillment, shipping, yada, yada. So the whole complexity of that graph that we'll go back to really here is this is a structured way of looking at what is a shopping experience. So with these acronyms sort of level sets, I want to give a bit of disclaimer. So I am working at Google, and Google is a contributor to some of these open source software. But rest assured, it's an open ecosystem. You don't have to use these things. And I think this is just a way to inspire one of the ways things can be done. And as we talk more about the pros and cons, we can think about, hey, how can things become better? Now, we have the building blocks. Let's take a look at this graph a little bit. So we're really doing the first and second phase. We're just discovering, right? You set up your lobster. You ask your lobster, buy me, a bucket corn from ETHDenver. They're like, okay. I have no idea where to look for it. But there is a permissionless registry of agents. So what is it doing is trying to get all of that data, and then it is checking through the reputation of each one. And then, okay, it found some qualified agents, and they say, okay, let's actually have a whole conversation about shopping. Let's talk about, are you able to pay this way? What information do I need to give you to get a discount? Yada, yada, yada. So really, just all these players interact this way. And let's talk about how that actually look like in code. These acronyms are actually not that scary. They are just JSON files. So let's look at the first layer. This is the ERC 8004 agent registry. And this is one example that's abbreviated for agent registration. I highlighted a few important parts. First, it has a very well-formed schema, and it has an endpoint. It's saying that, hey, this specific entity can be interacted using A2A. It's actually not exclusive to A2A. You can talk to it through NCP. In fact, you can define any type of interfaces that you want. That's up to you to decide whenever you're registering the agents. And of course, it's like everyone can have their own agent registry. And in this case, we are saying this is the registry I want to register my agent under. Now, OK. So as the Lobster AI, I'm looking at the registry, but I'm seeing thousands of these. How do I weed through? I want to show how one of the feedback may look like after a certain purchase. So looking at the second block here, it says the agent feedback. Again, we point at a specific agent registry for a specific agent, and I say, hey, I'm writing a review on this date, on a certain interaction. At the bottom, here's my proof. So I'm actually a verified purchaser. So my review actually means a little bit more. And the things I want to rate on is, OK, the stars experience is pretty good. And my success rate interacting with you, there's no downtime. So you can imagine thousands and maybe even more of this type of feedback being registered, and they're all accessible permissionlessly. And that's very useful for anyone here to figure out which agent is actually going to be the correct one for your specific shopping journey. Now, looking at the first block again, there is something that I highlighted. It's called the agent card. This is one of the reference. Let's assume that my agent wants to talk using A2A. So, okay, inside the agent registration, it points to the agent card. And the third block here, that's actually what one example of agent card looks like. So it says that, hey, this is an agent that interacts with the merchant catalog. The name of it is a buffet corn bazaar agent. Okay, great. Seems like someone who can sell all types of buffet corn. And the thing I really want to point out is at the bottom. It, of course, can have many skills and many tools and things like that. But one of the extension it is using UCP. And how that matters, if you look at the fourth code block, is that inside this code block, where it's really defining the handshakes that we want in this entire shopping journey. What does checkout look like? Are we able to offer discount? If there is a discount, look further to another JSON, which is well-defined schema here. And of course, at the bottom, we also talk about, does this agent offer certain ways to pay? In this case, it does offer the X402 extension. So after many, many steps, we get our buffet corn. Success, yay. But let's think a little bit. Right? That's a very, very hefty flow that we have to walk through. Does this really work when we have millions or even billions of agents sift through, right? Like maybe for a toy demo, we have 10 of them, we throw them in the context, maybe the agent's able to figure it out. But we probably need to delegate some of this logic elsewhere in a different way. We know where the agents are, we know the ratings are, but the algorithm, there is no fixed structure right now that anyone's proposing on how do you rate it. So it might be a good thing, might be a bad thing, and I think this is an area for people to think about and innovate here. The second one is how to incentivize feedback. I would like to invite people to say, when was the last time you went to a good restaurant and you left the feedback? Probably the rate to do it is not that often, and especially you have to go through all of the crypto UX beforehand to do this. So we should think about different mechanisms to incentivize feedback, but also we need to make sure once these incentives are in place, we don't have abuse where we also have to combat malicious feedback as well. And then I think the third point is really, really interesting is if you look at the flow, it's really structured in the same way that how humans shop. Is that really the right assumption? How different will agents shop compared to humans, right? So I think this is why across the entire stack here, I believe that the blockchain is more than just a payment rail for agentic commerce. It has a lot to do with identity, reputations. It has a lot to do with just giving feedback and how do you handhold, what parts do you want verified. And I think the challenge here is with any inclusion of blockchain technology, there's always a little bit of tax going on. How do we balance the value that we get from adding these trustless characteristics, but also we make sure that the shopping experience is not burdensome for both humans and perhaps increasingly important, not burdensome for agents. So I encourage everyone to read the specs, read the code. That's the source of truth. And yeah, so we would love to learn your thoughts. Please start a discussion on GitHub, create issues. If you have different ideas on how the flow should be, this is a prime time to innovate there. And yeah, my DMs are open and welcome for the reach out. Thank you very much.